competition webinar. Today's program will be approximately 30 minutes, and there will be a question and answer period at the end of the presentation. When the Q&A time arrives, simply type your question into the question function in your participant control panel. Further instruction will be given at that time. Now I'd like to introduce today's presenters. On our panel of chefs, we have last year's first place winners, Matthew Osolin and Ryan Wagner from Ohio Living, Breckenridge Village. We also have this year's Culinary Competition Committee Chairman, Jim McGrody with UNC Rex Healthcare. We're excited to have a panel of chefs here today to share tips and personal experiences to help this year's participants get selected for the competition. We also have a slide with some important dates and information about the 2018 competition. The application deadline, as you can see, is May 1st, and then everything can be submitted online. Now I'm going to turn the time over to Jim McGrody.
Hello, everybody. We're going to talk. Thanks for joining the webinar. This is real important for people that are, especially first-timers that are going to enter the competition. Some good information you'll hear. So the biggest thing is you want to choose the right team. I can tell you from competing in the past, and the guys can tell you as well. It's a very intense time period. So you really want to have someone that's organized, that works clean. People are watching you the whole entire time, so you really want to make sure that you're solid, and it's someone that you work well with is really important. Again, organized. Be very, very organized, because you don't have a lot of time, and people are watching, and it's a pretty hectic thing. Also, work with your dietitians. Bring the dietitians into the loop. Make sure that your nutritional information is correct, because they're going to be watching it. And if you start putting handfuls of salt into your dish, it's going to get noticed. So make sure you work with your dietitians. Make sure your nutritional limits are met, and choose people that work well under pressure, because it's going to be rocking. Next slide. Okay, planning your menu. We've seen people over the years do some real crazy things, and it's usually the people that keep it simple are the ones that really kind of drive it home. So you really want to think about that. Think about keeping it simple, keeping it realistic, and be comfortable with the meal. Don't try to do something that you're not used to, or you're only practicing 4 or 5 times before you come to the competition. You really want to try to make sure that it's something and something you do a lot, and so it becomes second nature when you're at the competition. Also, we're going to be in Minneapolis in summer, so think about what you're going to do there. You want to have those seasonal ingredients. I know it's kind of hard because we're not in the summer right now, but think about down the road, what's it going to be like in August in Minneapolis? Look at some of the seasonal vegetables that are there that are going to be available. It's real important to keep that. Also, keep an eye on the time. You can't imagine how quick it goes. So when you practice, make sure you practice with time limits. Don't just practice the dish. Practice the dish within the time you're going to be given, because it's very important. And what we did is have somebody really be like a timekeeper group. Really kind of every so often say, okay, we got X minutes left, 20 minutes left, so you can kind of keep you on track. Also, when you plan your menu, when you're planning your preparation, try to, by 15 minutes, this is where you should be. By 30 minutes, this is where you should be. So that way you keep on track, because if you fall behind, it's going to be a problem if you don't get your plate out. We're also asking people to start planning early. Get your recipes in. Don't wait too long. Get with your culinary team, figure out what you're going to do, and also be prepared for a mystery ingredient. We're going to pick one. You're not going to see it coming, so you want to make sure that you have a dish that can be somewhat flexible, not knowing what the mystery ingredient will be. You will learn that when you get there. So just be flexible and understand that something's coming your way that you don't know what it is. Next slide. So the equipment, think about what kind of equipment you're going to use. All the equipment that's not on this list has to be approved by the committee. So make sure you don't just show up with equipment that's not, been approved, because you won't be allowed to use it. Also, and I think the guys are going to talk about it in a little bit later in the slide, but make sure that when you're practicing, you practice on the equipment that you're going to have there. If you're practicing with an oven like that, you're not going to have, you're going to be in a ballroom or a banquet table. So make sure that you practice appropriately. So here's just a quick shot of what you're going to get, that we're going to supply, the hotel will supply. And you're going to have to put in what you want extra. If you want anything else, you want a pressure cooker or whatever it is that you're going to bring, you want to make sure that you let the committee know. And I'll pass it on.
Hi, this is Matthew Osolin here. Here they show a slide of the setup of the competition. As you can see, you have the two banquet tables running parallel to each other, the two induction burners, and then you also, behind the competitors, there are two chafing dishes that you could use to hold food warm in. And, as Jim was saying, it's, banquet tables are low. It's probably a good idea to get in there and practice, cutting your vegetables and your meats on a lower table, because it does take a little adjusting. And, the induction burners there, they don't cook like a regular gas range. So that's definitely something you want to practice on. So going on to the next slide. All right, tips to get selected. Use ingredients that work well together. I would also say, things that are regional and, local to each other. Our dish was Spanish, so we chose all Spanish ingredients. They have to make sense. They all have to be from the same area. That's a big thing. Make sure your recipe is written correctly and it makes sense. Use the template provided. Follow the nutritional requirements. Obviously, you're going to want to stay within your parameters there. Do not use any inedible garnishes. A big piece of rosemary on the plate, it's old school. If you can't eat it, you want to keep it off. Colorful, well-executed dishes will catch the eyes of the committee that decides who's selected. You have to remember that, they're not tasting the dish before you get submitted. They're just looking at a picture. So you got to make sure it looks really, really good before you submit it. And again, take a high-quality picture. We took 8 to 10 photos of different angles of our dish with different lighting, and then chose the best one. And I would definitely suggest doing that, to make sure you put your best foot forward when you submit that dish. Also, a couple other things I got here. Contrast in color is huge. Make sure you have different colors on the plate. You want your flavors to be balanced. Like I said, multiple photos is a big thing. That's something that you want to do before you submit that. On to the next slide. All right, so we have some examples here. The dish on the left and the dish on the right. Obviously, the one on the left is a dish that would get selected, opposed to the one on the right. You look at the one on the left, they used a brush to paint the sauce onto the plate. It looks classy, sophisticated. The colors are there. The shrimp are placed nicely. They look great. Looks like something you'd want to eat. The dish on the right, starch, veg, and protein all stacked up. Doesn't look like there's a sauce. Obviously, the dish on the left is the one that was picked. So on to the next slide. All right, so the dish on the left was a gold medal winner in Miami. You could see the great color contrast. It's a Caribbean dish, and it looks Caribbean. It looks like something that would, you could taste the cilantro and the mango and the acid. It looks like something you're going to want to eat. Where the dish on the right is just funny looking, a big stacked high thing of lettuce. It looks like it'd be hard to eat. It's confusing. So obviously the dish on the left is the one that you'd want to choose there. All right, next slide. So this was a dish that Ryan and I submitted that won the gold medal last year. The picture on the left was what we submitted to AHF, and then the dish on the right is what we actually made at the competition. We use, like I said, we use Spanish-inspired ingredients. You want to have a wow factor if you can. So we thought, a big head-on prawn would definitely do that, and I think it photographed nicely. We have a couple contrasted temperatures going on with the cold avocado roulade and the jicama salad on top, and everything else is hot. Also you want to balance flavors. We had a chipotle glazed, honey glazed corn cake underneath, and then which was sweet, and then we had some chorizo and some poblano powder on the plate, which was spicy. So we had good balance of flavor and color and contrast there. So now I'm going to hand it off to Ryan with the next slide.
Hi, this is Ryan Wagner. So your team gets selected as a finalist. Now what? You need to be ready. You need to really, figure out, work with your team member, practice 4 or 5 times or more. It's really important to watch your time and do everything as you would in the competition. I can't stress that enough, because doing it in your kitchen together is one thing, but then you put yourself in a ballroom in front of a crowd, and it's going to be a whole different level of stress, and you need to be able to accommodate for that and make it happen. Again, like Matt said, I think practice only using the equipment that you will have, and if you have extra equipment that's not on that list, make sure it gets approved. And we brought a toaster oven with us, and that was very helpful. Again, practice on that toaster oven, not your convection oven that you got in the kitchen. Practice plating on a 12-inch round, because that's what you're going to be given for the competition, and that's what you really want to practice, what it's going to look like, the best way to plate, and your final results. Tips to win: practice making several versions until you have a winner. Plate it up different ways. Try with the sauce in a different way of applying the sauce to the plate, laying out your protein and your starch, and make sure you know what the rules are, because there's some rules in there that you need to make sure you adhere to, especially your time. Judges will be looking at your mise en place, your sanitation, your food safety. Again, it's going to be stressful, and you might not work as clean as you normally would, but that's where the practice is going to come in. They're going to be watching your recipe as well, making sure that you're not sneaking some salt in here and there. We're all in the healthcare and need to watch those nutritional parameters and stick to those. Judging criteria. The first thing to judge is organization, and that's a maximum of 15 points. And again, cleanliness, your mise en place, sanitation, time management are all being looked at. They're going to be able to tell if you're struggling, if you get sloppy and you run out of time. This is where practice is, again, going to pay off. I think Matt and I practiced 7 or 8 times, and it really helped us. And that doesn't count the countless times that I went over it in my sleep. Especially the days leading up to the competition, because it was kind of stressful. Culinary skills, knife skills, cooking techniques, proper use of equipment, and food handling. Remember, a room full of people, industry people are watching you. So you want to make sure you're keeping it along the parameters of food safety. When you're picking your recipe, pick something that takes some skills, some good knife skills, some good cooking technique. Something that's going to be impressive and really stand out. That's 35 points on the culinary skills. The taste and presentation is 45 points. Originality, ingredients, compatibility, overall presentation, plating, garnish, etc. This is where you can get the most points. It's also where you can lose the most. That plate's got to taste good to those judges. Not only have you got your dish into the competition by how it looks, and this is where it's really got to come through and taste as well, and match those looks. And then we're going to have the mystery ingredient this year. Not sure what that's going to be, but I would suggest, if you get in and you get that mystery ingredient, you really do something special with it. So incorporate it into that dish as best as possible. Really make it stand out and run with it. So that's it.
Great, thank you. Before we move on to questions, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
I think the biggest thing is have fun doing it. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
It's a fun event, stressful, but don't take yourself too seriously. It's fun. It's cooking and it's fun, and we should Healthcare's come a long way, and it's awesome to see the talent that we have in our organization. So have fun with it.
Right. I would add too, one thing that stood out to me when we went down and were competing, the morale of everybody is high. Everybody's proud to be there. They're happy to be there and compete, and it's a really fun experience. It was, enjoyable, and, it is stressful, but really overall, it's a really good thing.
It was Matt and myself's first time at the AHF conference last year, so we got to go to the conference and compete. So if you're in that same situation, take full advantage of the conference as well and everything that's going on and the celebration. So.
Great. Thank you.
Mina, this is Candy. I just wanted to add one thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to remind the competitors out there that each team is also going to be assigned a runner, and that's usually somebody from our culinary committee, but we would be assigned to support you in doing things like running in the back to clean things for you, et cetera, going to get ice if you needed that. So just know that you would have a support person on site as well.
Great, thank you, Candy, for adding that. So now it's time for the Q&A session. As a reminder, if you have a question, please use the question function in your participant panel. Type your question in the question box, and I'll read the questions out loud. We do have a few questions already, so I'll go ahead with the first one. How wide is the rim on the 12-inch plate? So that I'm going to have to check with the Hyatt Regency. They will be providing the plates for us, and an updated equipment list will be sent out to everyone who submits an application. And we'll also be updating that on our website. The second question is, how many teams compete? So the answer is 5 teams. Another question is there refrigeration available? Yes, we do provide space, dry space, storage space, and refrigeration, and that's usually available the day before the competition. And all of those logistics will be communicated to the selected finalists. Okay, how much time do you have to range the station prior to competing? And that would be an hour before the competition. We do allow you to set up and prep, but that does not mean, cutting or slicing or anything like that.
And to add to that, I think we allow, if you're having you need boiling water, I think they allow you to get the water started, though. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. Were we not allowed to wash vegetables as well? I believe that was something that we could do.
Yes, so you're allowed to wash the vegetables, just not cut them or prep them, like right. Chopping. Okay, and the next question is, do we go shopping to purchase ingredients before the competition?
Yeah, we in DC last year, there was a Whole Foods across the river. We went there. On our way into DC, we picked up some microgreens at a microgreen farm in the basement of this bar. So yeah, whatever you need to do to get your ingredients, that's what you need to do. We brought some with us. We drove. I guess if you're taking an airplane, it's going to be a different situation. You need to make sure you can source everything you need for your recipe out locally there.
Yeah, we sent some stuff. We sent some ingredients via mail too, when we did out in Phoenix. But yeah, you also want to make sure that you can get those, like you just mentioned, that you can get the ingredient, because remember, you're going to be in Minnesota. You're not going to be in wherever you're from.
Right, and part of the communication that we do have with the finalists, we do send out some shipping instructions, as well as we will send out 2 or 3 recommendations for local grocery stores. Okay, the next question is, do we need to bring in our own wash and sanitation station? Jim, do you want to talk about the property in Minneapolis?
Say it again.
Do you want to share what's available to us at the Hyatt Regency?
Yeah, where the ballroom is going to be, we're lucky. It's not as good as Dallas, where we're cooking right in front of everybody. But there's a kitchen like right off the ballroom. It's like literally kind of right beside it. So it's a full service kitchen. It's got dishwasher. It's got everything you really need. So the runners will, if you have dirty dishes and you need to have washed, I think that's what the runner can do. But no, you don't need to have like a place to wash dishes out on your table. So that's something that will be done behind the scene. And like I said, it's right there. So, and there's all kinds of refrigeration. There's a walk-in. So I think you'll be fine.
Okay. Next question is, will there be any shelves or racks for station organization?
I could speak to that. This is Matt Osolin. Yeah, they give you a speed rack. So, you know, you get as many sheet trays as you want to, well, it's loaded with sheet trays. So that's basically what you use for organization, and it's plenty of space.
But while you have stuff stored on the floor, though, make sure that you're keeping temperatures properly. You know, don't have a pan of chicken just sitting there, you know, while you're prepping something else. You got to make sure that whatever you are storing on that rack, you're watching your temperatures.
Okay, next question. How many recipes are typically submitted each year? So I can answer that. I know our program's been growing. I believe last year we had somewhere around 30 or 35 submissions. So we're excited to see how many we get this year. I'm not sure if I am understanding this one. If you need additional equipment, is it allowed if approved before the competition? So when you are applying, you will submit a list of equipment that you'd like for approval, and then we'll be communicating with you and let you know before the deadline, usually, whether or not it's been approved. Okay, the next question is, can you bring exotic meats or proteins such as conch?
Yeah, I can take that. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, as long as it fits within the price point of your recipe, you can use anything you could find, anything you could get, as long as it fits in the price.
Okay. Next question is, what size are the ramekins? So I believe the Hyatt Regency will be providing these as well. So they would be the standard size, and they may be disposable. The purpose of the ramekins will be for your spices if you're measuring them out. So any information we get back from the Hyatt, we will be providing that to all applicants. Okay, our next question is, will this slide presentation be available for future references? Yes, We will send this out to all of the participants after today's presentation. Okay, next question is the food runner provided, or is it someone from their team? The food runner will be provided by AHF. It will be a member of the Culinary Competition Committee. Okay, next question, what was last year's mystery ingredient?
Last year there was no mystery ingredient.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a mystery ingredient, which was going to be seaweed, and they had a problem sourcing it. So we ended up without a mystery ingredient.
Okay, next question. Can one team submit more than one recipe?
I think it's been done in the past.
Yes, that's correct, Jim. So one facility has submitted more than one recipe in the past. I've seen it where they've kind of changed up the team sometimes. So, you know, it might be Jim and Mina for one submission, and then it might be Jim and Matt for the second submission. Okay, what is the total time we have to cook from start to finish for the competition? That's 75 minutes. And we do a staggering start time of 7 minutes between teams. Okay, next question. Has the price point for the dish been set yet? And yes, I believe it's $8 per plate. And you can find that in the competition rules document. Okay, our second question. Can you have multiple teams from the same facility submit recipes? So I believe that's still yes. We've had that in the past. Okay, one more question here. Can the mystery ingredient be bacon?
That's too easy.
Bacon goes with everything.
Bacon.
Won't be bacon.
Okay, just to go off of that, can the mystery ingredient, can we make sure that the mystery ingredient is free from common allergens?
Yes, we will take that in consideration for sure.
Okay, and another question is, have multiple teams from the same facility been selected before? And I've only been involved with the program for 2 years, so I don't think it's happened in the last 2 years.
I don't recall either. I know multiple teams have applied, but all recall that happened now.
Okay, looks like we don't have any more questions at this time. But I'll just go to our next slide that has our contact information. If you do have additional questions, you can email us at culinary@healthcarefoodservice.org, or you can give us a call or find more information on our culinary competition webpage. Okay, we want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we want to thank our presenters today. We really appreciate the time that you've spent. Just so everyone's aware, the recording will be made available behind the members portal next week. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact today's presenters or AHF staff, and you can direct all questions to culinary@healthcarefoodservice.org. Okay, thank you all.
Good luck, everybody. Good luck.
Good luck. Look forward to seeing you there.
Is that it, guys?